Hello, welcome to the Off-Grid Dev Stream. My name's Rich Metzen. This is where we talk about off-grid. If you haven't seen the stream before, essentially Off-Grid is a stealth hacking game. It's based around the principle that data is your most powerful weapon. So all of the tools that you use in the game are hacking tools used in order to socially engineer the AI and get them to do things that they don't necessarily want to do to get them out of your way. I usually kick off the stream by saying if you're interested, if this piques your interest, like and subscribe on one of these, whichever you use the most. I'll show you a bit of the game next. And we can get into it. This episode we are continuing with looking at our AI. So Off-Grid uses an interesting AI model called goal-oriented action planning. You might have heard of this. It was made famous by a game called Fear in the kind of mid to late 2000s, and it's interesting because it gives a set of actions for the AI to then choose from in order to accomplish a goal, which means that the AI can act in a seemingly more dynamic way. And in Off-Grid that's interesting because it adds directly to the mechanics, because Off-Grid is all about changing the environment of the AI in order to make them react in a certain way. So changing their access to coffee and whether the coffee machine will give them a discount if they try and use it to get them off out the way to drink a coffee. Then maybe changing the caffeine level of the NPC changes how they'll react to the radio, and if you catch them in the right way with that right combination of things, it will make them dance or make them fall asleep. So you have this kind of dynamic set of things that can change for the AI based on how you change the environment around them or the things that they're interacting with. And the kind of cool and I think fairly unique thing that we've done with it is we've made our Go app, goal-oriented action planning, entirely data-driven, so it's moddable. Off-Grid is a moddable hacking game in it so much as you can make your own levels, your own hackable devices, your own hacking tools. But without me kind of going too much into that, without any visuals, let's skip over to here, and I'll launch the game and we can talk through some of that. As always, I've got the Restream chat open so I can say hello to any and all of you from whichever platform you're on. So if you're on Twitch or Mixer or YouTube Live or Facebook Live or Steam Broadcast, make sure to say hi and make sure to ask questions as we go along. More than happy to answer them, and it kind of makes for a bit more interesting stream when there's people asking questions as we go. So don't be shy. And if I say something that makes no sense to you, just say so, because there's a lot of jargon that goes on in game dev, and there is definitely a lot of jargon that goes on in game dev when we're talking about AI, especially moddable, scriptable AI. Let me launch a game. So this is your map screen in Off-Grid. It's where the mods turn up. If you've made a mod, this is and you want to see it, this is where it will come. If you've subscribed to someone else's mods, this is where it will be. We're going to cheat and show all missions. And we're going to jump into this. Actually, is the AI test level is there? Maybe we'll just jump into the AI test level for a change of scene. Might make it easier to show you some stuff. I'm not the most professional streamer in the world, so if the audio levels are out, or you need more sound on the game, or you need more levels from me, then just give me a shout. I'll do my best. So yeah, this is off grid. I just move the chat over here. This is what we call the AI test level. It's exactly that. It's a level that we piece together to test out functionality of different AIs. We've got a little laptop here for cheating with. So we're going to hack into that with the SSH tool. And we are going to... Oh, we've got the mouse in the wrong place. What we're going to do, we're going to give ourselves invisibility, and we'll give ourselves an admin key for doors. Need anything else? Oh, there's a multi-tool app. Yeah, let's grab that. So, alright, yeah, that's still a test. Interesting. So this is a slightly older build. I'm going to actually be doing a lot of what we're doing tonight through the... oh, let's turn the test app off. It's doing something weird. Yeah, I don't know what a test cycle. What's that?
Where are you going?
Oh, when we're not invisible. This is a good start. So, well, that's the AI working, finding us and tasering us. That's the sort of thing you can expect from it. What it's doing there is it's choosing from a list of actions to decide how to treat the player there, and obviously chase and capture are the two things it chose to do there. So let's do that and give ourselves a door access again and see how we go from there. So we ought to be invisible from here, but maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, turn this help app off as well. Where is that guy? He's through here. Well, it's going to be hard to show you the AI. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so he can't see me now. Yeah, because we're invisible. He's off walking around. So what we'll do is I'm going to show you the AI the AI profiling tool that we have called an AI Explorer. It basically lists off all of the goal-oriented action plans that this guy can make, and what he's deciding to do and how, and that will help me break down exactly what is moddable in the way that hacking, in the way that modding the AI works. Yeah, in off-grid you can make levels like these. They won't shimmer as much as that. I think there's 2 sets of stairs in there by mistake. You can make hackable devices, like, for instance, this vending machine that we should be able to hack and set up. And we've covered episodes, in other episodes, like things like making your own hackable devices. So if you're interested in catching up or recapping on that stuff, that is on several of the other episodes that you can find on a YouTube playlist. There we go, there's a hacked vending machine firing Coke cans. You can write your own apps, which are these things down in the left-hand corner. And it's all written in Lua, which I'll tell you a bit more about in a moment. So, without further ado, I think the best thing to do is launch Unity and open the live project. So, the way that Off-Grid works as a moddable hacking game is in your copy of Unity, in your copy of Off-Grid on Steam, you've got this tools window, and you can scroll to the Off-Grid level kit and download that. I recommend you take it out of the location that it sits in, which you can do by going local files, browse local files. It'll pull you up to Steam Library, Steam Apps, and show you this level kit project. I would take that folder and move it somewhere else in your computer's user in order to make sure that Steam doesn't overwrite it at any point with an update. But we can go into that kind of in more detail at another point. Yeah, so this is the level kit program project. It's a Unity project. You basically get to use the free version of Unity and our Unity tools that we've been building as if you were one of the game devs in the studio with me and Pontus and Steve, writing away, modding, making your own level designs. Essentially, we have this kind of create tab here, this build tab here, where you name your level, and you have a set of mission scripts. But what we're going to talk about more specifically is the AI Explorer. So I'm going to try something here. I'm going to see whether we can network what I've been working on currently with the older build, and if not, then we're gonna cheat a little bit. So if we go here and we pull the game up, as you can see, we're still in the AI test scene here. Tab out, and we hit I don't think we need to build the level. That should be built based on what I was doing most recently. We hit search for game and hit start. And it should look for and find our copy of the game and push the mod that I've been working on straight up to it, as if it was a patch. So, all being well with the demo gods, it should turn up. And usually what happens is it crashes the first time you do it, so give it a moment. Just realised I haven't got Steam Broadcast open. Let's open that up too. There we go, there's the mod. Just give me a sec. What's your broadcast here? Let's do that. So, here's our mod. As you can see, it's definitely a mod because I've still got test textures in there and all this good stuff. It's going to be a little bit laggy because I'm running a copy of the game and Unity and networking locally and streaming. So none of this is indicative of final performance of the game because you won't be doing all those things when you're playing the game. So this is our mod. And what we have in this mod is a secretary character walking around. Well, I'll show you. So in this instance, we've got a secretary character who's been I've written a script in the AI agent script for her to stand and make coffee until I call this intercom.
FM partners.
Hit the intercom here, and she opens this door for me. And then she starts to walk over to the desk here, although it takes her a little longer than it possibly should. You can hear her walking in the background, I think. Her voice is hard coded at the minute, so it has the guard's voice, which is quite funny. You might have heard it in the background. Oh, bloody hell, a burglar! Which obviously isn't the voice she's meant to be making. At the minute, she finishes this next action before
I didn't know you were supposed to be in today.
then doing this greeting. There's a crazy dance she does so that I've got a visual cue. Obviously, in the long run, it won't be a crazy dance. And then she is meant to say, I'll let you through, but we don't have the audio cue for that. And she sends a piece of data again to the door system, and it opens this door and lets us through. So there's quite a lot going on with the AI there for it to do all that. I guess in the meantime, one of the things we can do is we can kind of, well, we can walk around here and see what she's up to. There's loads of test placeholder stuff in this level at the minute, so forgive how kind of grey boxy it is in places. I've been pushing and pulling things around a little. So we're going to sneak through here. So, her positioning isn't perfect, but she's using a filing cabinet, going and using this computer here, and then she then runs over to this printer here too. And that's the cycle that she goes through now. So in terms of goal-oriented action planning, this is quite interesting stuff. So I'm gonna probably gonna need to sort of do some jiggery pokery to get this all on screen for you all. Yeah, you can sort of see that. Although you won't necessarily be able to see her. Where is she? Oh, she's at the filing cabinet. Okay, tab out. So she should be walking past us on screen here. Yeah, perfect. So we've got this AI Explorer tool. We use this on our main development project, and Steve recently ported it over to. Let's get some music going on in the background. Oh yes, I can show something off. We'll just move the stuff around here. We've got iTunes. Stick some tunes on with the app there. Turn them off. Turn them on. Turn them off. iWeather. iCal. No, nothing in our calendar yet. iClock. iHelper. iNews. No news. iTunes. Right. Enough of that. Tab back out. So we've got our AI walking around in front of us. We hit the AI Explorer. Yeah, I thought this might not work. This is a newer feature that doesn't exist in the current build that's on Steam. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to take the mainline project and connect to that to work, which makes sense. Makes absolute sense. So let's do that briefly as well. So I'll grab mainline. So to explain that more fully, essentially there are two Unity projects that we build off-grid in. The Twitch stream. Tattoo says the Twitch stream is broken. Okay. I'll just check that quickly if everyone will bear with me. odd, isn't it? Right, yeah. Well, I'm just getting served ads up on my own channel. Come on. I don't need Twitch Prime. Oh, looks like it's working for me. Cool. Right. I was just about to close the Steam build and open up the mainline project. I was explaining that essentially Off-Grid is built in two projects. So this is the mainline project, which is where we write all of our C# code and kind of build the main classes that the game is made up of. And then we create a Lua API via an interface called Moonsharp, which interfaces Unity's C# with the scripting language Lua. And that then interacts with this level kit project, which we essentially use a bunch of C# components in to build levels. So whether that's mission objects, some of the stuff that I've kind of covered in more depth in other streams, and I'll only brush over here in order to allow us to get onto the AI stuff. But essentially, in this secondary project, we have the level kit tool and a bunch of stuff that is available to you as a modder, someone who is an owner of a copy of Off-Grid and interested in making your own mods, tweaks, levels, etc. Tatu, thank you very much for joining us, and I'm glad that it's working for you on Twitch now, so that's good. Essentially, this episode I'm talking about scripting AI for Off-Grid. So Off-Grid's AI is written in goal-oriented action planning, which is GoApp, and that's well, let's go through the basics of what AI is in game dev. Now, AI in game dev is very much a kind of poor cousin to the sorts of things that AI get listed in kind of VC tech ventures in Silicon Valley. AI in game dev is often actually referred to as artificial stupidity, because ultimately you don't want to make something that's too clever for your players or doing bizarre things that aren't easily communicated, and that usually means creating something that isn't all that smart, but has some very simple processes and can do some interesting things when the player interacts with them. Traditionally, AI was written with basic state machines, which literally, I mean, it's a pretty broad term, state machine, but if anyone has done any programming in the past, they will have experienced state machines in some way, shape, or form. It's something that makes decisions and moves through states based on input. So it can almost describe it can describe a very broad amount of computer programs. Then about sort of 15 years ago or so, maybe a bit longer now, games moved into behavior trees, and behavior trees are interesting. They are what they say. They are a long tree of decisions. So it's a cascading set of decisions. Can AI switch off light bulb? If yes, do this. If no, do that. And a set of fail states. And essentially, your AI will read through all of these states, and it will eventually fail and drop out, or it will reach the end and be able to complete an action. And I should probably do a better job of explaining that, but it's not all that easy. One way or the other, essentially, behavior trees are quite a linear set of AI choices. And that's where goal-oriented action planning is interesting, because actually the way that works for us is the AI doesn't have a long tree of linear decisions to make. It has a goal, which is usually a world state it wants to achieve, and it has a pool of actions, and it can decide which actions are most appropriate based on friction, so how difficult it is, or a set of other dynamics. But we'll get into that in a bit more detail in a moment. So Tattoo saying a couple of things. Quake, C player, shoot, chase player. Yeah, exactly. And Gears of War, shoot and chase player, or hide behind the obstacle, then shoot the player. Yep. And those decisions are made constantly by AI, which makes it an interesting kind of an interesting problem from a performance perspective. So if you've ever played Civ, any of the Civ games, on any machine actually, even really, really powerful machines, as you get into the late game, you'll notice your turns slowing down and even your machine heating up, especially if you're playing Civ on a laptop or something like that. You hear the fans going and you feel it get really hot. Yeah, Gandhi nuked me. Did Gandhi nuke you because of the fact that you were taking too long to take your turn? That's like, in my experience, like that is a classic example of AI's like processing power in games being a kind of sort of stopper for you. And goal-oriented action planning is interesting from that perspective as well, because it actually doesn't have to operate in that same manner. So let's get on and show you some kind of what goal-oriented action planning looks like. So I'm gonna close this off. Close the build here, and yeah, as I said, please bear with me in terms of the game looking a little laggy. It's basically having to run through 2 Unity versions and a local network connection, and then a stream as we go. Oh right, yeah, I remember. Yes, okay, yes, that was Civ 4, wasn't it? Where the Gandhi nuking was a bug, and then they made it into a feature. Ever After, I believe. Yes, peacefulness overflowed from 255 to 0. I do remember this story now. So what we're gonna do is, we've got a nice little extra bit of functionality Ponce has done here. You can get the cheat missions up easily there. I'm not sure we actually even need that. What we're gonna do is jump back to level kit and search for the game, start there. Yeah, that's how we're doing things. So we're essentially pushing our mod from the level kit project over to the mainline, which is the same as what we were showing earlier with pushing it to the build of the game as well. It's the same principle. So what I showed a kind of interesting sequence earlier. So the secretary is expected, and we can cheat a little bit here, something that you wouldn't be able to do in the modding tools as easily without turning your player invisible and walking up to the character to see what they're doing, or spawning them somewhere else. So here we're going to just cheat slightly and go into the scene view, and we're going to pull up the AI Explorer for this mainline project as well, because the AI Explorer works across both the modding tools and the regular ones. So we hit update, we select the secretary, and we focus on the secretary, and we'll zoom in on her. She's over here using the coffee machine. Let's put a little music on in the background because that always helps me concentrate. So we'll view the full state here. So this is going to be quite small. So I probably need to get a zoom tool. Is there a Windows zoom tool? I think there is. Best Man is here. Hi Best Man, do you watch Twitch chat too? Yeah, I watch the Twitch chat, the YouTube chat. It all comes through to Restream for me. Yeah, we've got our secretary here. She's doing a little shuffle while she waits by the coffee pot, and if we just stretch this out a little bit, we should be able to see a bit more of the world states. So hopefully this is visible across the stream. It's written really small, but these are all the world states existent in this current AI. Text is readable, thanks Tatu. Cool, so the world states that we have: answered intercom, false. So I mentioned that the first thing that we do, okay Best Man, I'll call you Killer Cowboy and Best Man, I'll know who you are. But feel free to ask questions on YouTube. Like I can see all the chats. I try and keep an eye on all of it. Yes, in here we've got the world states. Answered intercom is false, greeted Joe is false, has a prisoner false, player in boss office false, Joe scolded once, Joe scolded twice, Joe scolded thrice. There's a huge set of states in here essentially. What's up Killer Cowboy, I see you in Twitch. So this is quite a specific AI. There's a lot of very scripted interactions here as well as dynamic ones, hence this incredibly long list. Knows of working coffee machine, knows of working entertainment. Some of this is generated. But so we go a bit further down, we have then the goal state. The goal state is used coffee maker, kitchen 01, true, answered intercom, false. So that's the goal state that they currently have, and they are attempting to fulfill that. Well, they are fulfilling that because they're using the coffee maker there. They then have a list of other goals that they could possibly look to use, and these all have priorities that are associated with them. I should probably pull up the scripts so that we can go through those at the same time. So let's do that. Open folder. content. Yep, it's fine. Okay. Reopen project. Content. So, in your mod folder, you get an agents folder, an apps folder, characters folder, conversations folder, devices folder, graphics, and items. And these are all things that you can add to in various different ways. So the characters are the character profiles that I talked about in the stream before last. Killer Cowboy says, so what happened to Tokyo 42? I told you I'm gonna get Paul from Mode 7 on to play Tokyo 42 with me and teach me about the game properly. So hold your horses, and I'll get a good stream with him on, where you get some unique content on Tokyo 42. For now, the off-grid stream is going to stick to off-grid. But yeah, I promise you, Tokyo 42 with Paul from Mode 7, I'll make that happen. Just need to find the right time to do it. But there's a couple of interesting things coming up that I should be able to talk a bit more about, involving Paul and Mode 7 and overlap with us soon. Unique, you mean epic? I mean epically unique, yeah. Heading back to this, we've got, we talked about kind of character profiles, the idea that each character has different stats for motivation, sociability, gluttony. Any of these things can be added as well, mood, tiredness, whether they need the toilet or not, whether they are too hot or not, all that kind of stuff. And then this is essentially like a set of docs. We have their titles, their first names, their pet names, screen names, the email providers they use, things like this. And this is all the kind of factors that come into them generating different generated text messages. And as you might have spotted us talking about very briefly, the new feature that Pontus has been working on that was promised in our Kickstarter as a stretch goal, this social media app, which you can use to do a bit of a kind of intelligence on the AI. So they tweet using this sort of profile, essentially. But we're looking at something a kind of level deeper than that this time round, which is the actual agent definitions. And an agent definition is essentially where GoApp comes into its own. So as we were talking about there, we've got this set of world states, and these are the ones that I've written up. Some of them are literally just states for objectives, and then some of them are more specifically to do with whether they have called security or not, for instance. So Tatu says, this is like kind of similar but still different to the only lure I've done. I've done a bit myself, which in DCS World Fight Sim stuff. This is on another level though. Cool. Yeah, well, I mean, like lure is quite common across modding, so it's nice to hear that you've had a play around doing some modding with lure already. I mean, like, yeah, we've gone really, I wouldn't say overboard, because I think it's really important for us to do make as much exposed to players as possible so they can really mess with this. I mean, I've got to be honest, I've never myself seen kind of scriptable, data-driven AI in a moddable game like this before. I'm happy for people to point out examples so I can learn from other people, but like, without tooting our own horn, I think we've done something really quite interesting here with kind of this data-driven, lure-based modding of the AI. So we have this list of states. These are the world states that we can give the AI to try and ascertain. And they have this set of actions, and we define the actions in all kinds of different ways. They have gestures that can be associated. They have a state that can be required and a state that they can affect. They have an audio cue they can play. And I mean, we'll probably go into this in a little bit more detail. But they can also call staff. They can also call data or send data with an action. So I think I said when we kind of opened this up, as the AI secretary greets the player there in the first section, they then go on and open a door for you. So that's sending a piece of data. So you could actually script in your mod, you could script the AI to receive an email that was a phishing email that you then get them to forward onto their boss that contains malware and unlocks a machine that you didn't have access to. So that you can start to see how having kind of scriptable AI and all the scriptable data payloads and scriptable hackable devices that react to different Lua scripts, it creates quite a rich environment for not simulating hacking, but making mechanics that reflect hacking situations. Tattoo says, I'm not a programmer though, I can read most things and poke at it, not a creator. I mainly inspire people with ideas. Well, to be honest, that's how I started out programming. I was working as a technical artist, sort of poking at doing kind of, I mainly did render pipelines, and I started poking at doing some animation tools with Python. And then, over a period of years, I started making games in game jams and just poking and prodding. So that's the way to do it, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I'm not as good at writing code as my fellow team members who have pure computer science backgrounds, but you can certainly make interesting things by poking about. But I see the structure, I like it. Already got ideas for others to program. Nice. Yeah, and I think that's what's quite nice here is like it's one of the beauties of Lua, actually. Like, you don't have to be a programmer to be able to like read this and go, oh, there's an action and it has these requirements, which are these states here, and its effect is this state there. And then once that action is completed, the AI can pick the next action that meets that requirement, etc., etc. Umuta Gunness, hopefully I pronounced that right. Welcome. I'm also a programmer. I'm programming in C# and JavaScript, but outside school I try to learn Unreal Engine 4. I also made a demo game. How can I find a team where I can work seriously on a project? Oh my, good question. Well, it sounds like you're in school doing some programming as part of your education. Like, to be honest, the best place that I met like people that I wanted to collaborate with was when I was studying, like all those years ago now. Well, when I first went to university, over 10 years ago now, my first jobs in industry came from friends who were working in other studios who brought me in. So that's how I did stuff. Like, the people you meet while you're studying are really important folks. So collaborate and give your time to the people that you're working with would be the thing I'd say, because it all comes back around. And like, I did a master's in video games development here in the UK, and the sound designer that I worked with there still makes sound for Off-Grid. He worked for Sony, and now he works for Ubisoft, and he's still a collaborator of ours. The same with the guy who wrote the music that you can hear in the background here. In fact, I think this was Jonas, but also the guy who wrote some of the other score. Pontus, my co-dev, who we prototyped Off-Grid together, we studied together as well. So you're in the right place if you're studying and making games. Just keep finding people to work with. Try not to do projects on your own all the time. Try and work with people and build relationships. That was a long answer. So I didn't get published because you need to pay $100 for Steam, etc. So it's on my PC. itch.io. Put it on itch.io. Put your games on itch.io and talk to people there. So Tatu says, yeah, I don't even really want to be the programmer. Much prefer being the architect. Python, I still need to learn. Yeah, I think. Oh man, it's such an interesting relationship when you can work in a team, and you, especially kind of the role of the designer and the programmer, and especially when both of those roles can interchange is fantastic. You know, like if you've got a programmer that you work with who's design minded, and you as a designer know how to poke about and write a little bit of code, that can make for some really interesting stuff. So Tatu says, I work in IT and doing IRL infosec things. Yeah, kind of needs Python. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, like it's like any other tool, right? I mean, I'm sure what you do in IT, you can do just as easily with Bash or C#, PowerShell. You don't necessarily need Python, but adding another tool to your belt is always good. Killer Cowboy says, I can work for you, my IQ is very high, like copper 100. Oh yeah, for what it's worth, the off-grid sticker from EMF Camp is still on your flashy hat. Yes! Good stuff. Cool, so, where do we got? We got to looking at the actions, and then below the action, oh actually, do you know what, I'll compress this quickly, or I'll fold the level of the text in. That gives us a better view of it all. So there's the states up the top, then we've got the actions: answering intercom, greeting Joe, scolding Joe, calling mama, which is an example I looked at in the last stream, calling security, kicking Joe out. And then here are the goals: catch player in boss's office and kick out. So it's obvious which of these actions can be used for that. You know, scolding Joe, kicking him out, calling security, tell player not to be in the office, answer the intercom at the beginning of the level, greet player at reception, etc, etc. Oh, and that's the other interesting bit. So we also have these can use actions. So these are standard actions up the top here, and these are the can use actions. And the can use actions are for interest points, like the filing cabinet that we were showing earlier. So we've got our AI, she's using the coffee machine here, and that has this little orange symbol on it, which means it's an interest point. So if I click on that, what you have as a, oh, you won't see it on this side because this is the main line, but if we switch over to here, you'll see that there's lots of these little orange symbols with an exclamation mark, and that means interest point. And an interest point is just a C# component that you get in the level kit, which as you're building your mods and your levels, Killer Cowboy says you have to go, it's late. You have school, then 1 week of holidays. Well, I hope you get to stay up later once you're on holiday. Although, if it's only 1 week, I won't be streaming next week because I only do it every 2 weeks. But thanks for swinging by anyway, much appreciated. Yeah, basically you throw an interest point component on your coffee pot, or if we were going to do the kettle, then we literally hit add component, and we type in interest point. I'd spell it correctly. Interest point there, and then you literally just name it whatever it's going to be, which would be kettle, and you add a user position for where the user goes to make use of it. Yes, I can. Oh, IXNXJXNCC. What does that mean? I assume that's a mistype. I assume you mistyped. Oh, look forward to the Tokyo 42 epic session. So essentially we'd have made this interest point, and then what we'd do is we'd hop over to here and we'd we'd write a new interest point, and we'd call it kettle, and we might have a required state. So for this, to use the filing cabinet, you have to have used the printer. You might set up an audio queue, and standing using filing cabinet, or standing using kettle would be the next thing. So yeah, that sets up what items the AI can interact with. And if you've seen some of the stuff on setting up devices, if you make that device hackable, you can have it do different things that the AI wasn't expecting it to do. Like, instead of giving them a coffee, it can spout steam up in their face and make them too hot, and we can go into some of that. So Umutagunas asks another question. Like I said, in the high school I'm studying IT. Up to now, we have seen general things like networking, programming, web development, etc. Oh, Killer Cowboy. No, I was angry because you said you stream every 2 weeks. Alright, yeah. I'm afraid, well, that's just the way it goes. Right, so, finishing your question, Umutagunas. I'm more interested in programming, but could I enter in a game developer sector with my bachelor diploma? It really just depends on where you live and what access to game studios you have. Like, most game studios don't require someone to have a degree to join a junior position. Loads of my friends got into making games through quality assurance. In fact, Steve, who's a programmer that works with us, he's been in AAA games. He worked on the F1 franchise. He worked on Little Big Planet, loads of cool stuff. And he's got a computer science degree, but his first job in games was in quality assurance, testing stuff. And he sort of swears down that it's a really good grounding for everyone who gets into games to do some time in QA. So if you live in Belgium, if there's a game studio that you can get to that has a QA department, a quality assurance department, then without a degree, applying for a QA job, I think, is perfectly doable. Yeah, there's loads to be learnt there. I mean, you'd probably, if you wanted to go on to become a games programmer, you probably want to do some kind of computer science or course in that. So yeah, Tattoos celebrating the Belgian connection. That's good. Yeah. So yeah, there's no reason that without your, with just your high school diploma, you can't get a job in games. I'm sure that's doable. Just find a studio with a QA department, and then lots of people then move into design or move into art or move into starting to learn about programming from there. I'm just going to take a sip of my tea. You might appreciate the mug that I have. Hang on, it's too bright. There we go. A friend of mine found this for me in a boot sale, which I guess a junk sale is what you might say internationally. Right. So let's affect this AI. Let's see what we can get them to do. So if we hit Update AI Explorer and view the full state, here's our character. Their current goal is to use the coffee machine and to have not answered the intercom. So if then I go as the player character over to the game and I ruin that for the AI by using the intercom,
Hello, is anybody
which will
there?
change that state, then answered intercom becomes true, and this can no longer be the goal state that the AI is able to aim for. So we hit update AI Explorer again, and the goal state will have moved to used reception desk true and greeted Joe false. So I've set up a goal that requires the AI to have used the reception desk, but not to have greeted the player yet. So then what we see is, as we move over to the scene here, and we hit focus, and we follow the character, they're now stood at this reception desk, which means used reception is true, and they then go on to wait until they have greeted Joe, the character, to move on from this goal. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to go and interact, or we'll actually, for greeted Joe to be true, they just need to see us. So we will walk over there. So yeah, again, apologies for the lag here on the game itself. That's not indicative of the final quality of the game when it's done.
Come back here.
So you hear that little boy come back here, and an audio cue, and the fact that the AI is now doing a dance. So goal state greeted Joe true has just changed here, and now it's moved on to used filing cabinet true, greeted Joe true, answered intercom true. So we have set up a goal for using the filing cabinet, and that requires greeted Joe to be true and answered intercom to be true. And what we've actually done is, with the goal for loop using filing cabinet, printer and computer, we've set up a goal that's this goal here. Goal state used filing cabinet true, greeted Joe true, answered intercom true. State equals used filing cabinet value true, greeted Joe true, answered intercom true. It doesn't interrupt anything else. Its priority is very low, so it's a fallback AI state. So the AI is going to have needed to have greeted Joe and the player needs to have used the intercom and all this kind of stuff before it will set. Upon completion, we actually set used filing cabinet to false. So even if the AI completes using the filing cabinet, using the printer and using the computer, completing that goal then resets it all to false again, which makes it a loop, which is why we now see our character walking around the room here. Well, it's not as easy to see from here, but if I zip around the corner like we talked about earlier, skip that. So, and this is obviously all going to look a little nicer once we get it lit up nicely and whatever else, but there's our AI. She's walking between the computer and the filing cabinet. Goal state there. These are the goal lists for other things. Already in goal state, answered intercom true. Already in goal state, greeted Joe true. Needs actions to run. These are sorry, I'll click in here so that doesn't move around so much. Needs actions to run is goals that could work if one of these states was different. So you can debug why a state that you've tried to set up isn't working by looking for these little red flags. Or, like you might have a legitimate reason for not wanting a particular AI state to run, and by checking that it's got a red flag like that, you can make sure that it won't. Available actions. yeah, I mean, there's a lot of detail in here. This goes into the available actions, the preconditions, the effects, and more detail. And it even shows you the target. So, I mean, if we... Oh, here we go. This is nice. This is one that's in action currently. We did just see it moving. Use printer action. Yeah. Use printer action current. So you can see it's switching between goals as well. The green and red text on stream a little hard to read in the small font versus the white ones, but you get the point. Hope others watching do too. That's what. That's what Tatu just said. Cool. Yeah, I'll bear that in mind. I will get a zoom tool worked out. I was using one before, but it was just kind of awkward and wasn't actually particularly good. But I think this text is so small that if we do AI stuff again, which we will, then I'll need to do so. I mean, yeah, there's no easy way of zooming into that, I don't think, just yet. But essentially the green and red text is those goals that we looked at in the script here. So the one that says current here, the preconditions for... Oh, right, yeah, okay. Use printer action is the one that is current. Use printer action is can use. And we have printer interest point. And it requires, which is its precondition, it requires used computer to be true. And it requires can use printer to be true. And can use printer is just a printer interest point being available and navigable. So yeah, that kind of sets up an image of how GoApp works while it's in action, I suppose. So where do we go from there? Well, the next thing is the fact that we can actually take something like a given action and not only have it have the knock-on effect of like something more traditional that's already built into the AI, like making the character chase or become threatening, but also then get that character to send a piece of data or trip an alarm or call a security guard in. And so in this instance, what I've done is I've set up a set of triggers in this workplace level, and you can, pardon me, keep hiccuping. See those blue lines in the background here? Those are trigger volumes for essentially being tripped when I walk into this room. So that essentially the secretary knows that I'm not supposed to go into this room, and if I do, they'll start to tell me to get out. So we can change the state, which, you know, we can change whether the AI is threatening or not, whether they're neutral or threatening. So state player in boss office, if that becomes true, then that changes, as soon as player in boss office is triggered, that changes how the AI works. They have a set of goals. If player in boss office is true, then, oh sorry, we want the first one. If player in boss office is true, it wants, okay, the goal is of high priority, 85 priority, and it wants to set the player in boss office to true and Joe Scolded wants to true. And as soon as we trigger player in boss office, it sees this as now a state that can be completed, and it's of high priority with the use of one action, which is scold player once. So that action is scolding Joe once. It will look out this action and add it in, which it needs the player to be. Requirements are player in boss office true and intruder visible true. And the effect is Joe scolded once, which completes that goal. And I've set up the AI telling you off 3 times to give you a chance to get out of the office or to hide. It's not perfect yet, but you get the impression. So let's have a quick look at that, because I'll finish explaining what happens next. So we have the player scolded 3 times, and on the 3rd time it escalates to calling security. The AI sort of targets the character on the 3rd call and starts to jog over to you, and then it has the calling security action that it can use, because the state player in boss office is true, Joe scolded thrice is true, and intruder visible is true, and the effect is called security true, and this triggers the AI to then send this piece of data that we've defined here. So data in off-grid is usually defined. Independently, either in a it's usually defined in the mission script, and this is one of the few occurrences it's defined somewhere else. And in this instance, it's defined here in the player action, the character action, and they're going to send this piece of data called alarm data, and we've already set up elsewhere. I don't know whether to go into the full detail of this, but it's in the mission script. Yeah, let's do that. Let's search for alarm data in the mission script. Oh, hang on. Really? Oh, search for boss alarm. Yeah, that's what it is. So that's boss alarm is a device that has a really cheesy name that will change soon. It has a Lua script on it that is waiting for this piece of data that the AI is going to send to it. That's just it being connected to things. So we have this AI alter NPC world state secretary calling security data recipient, and then we set that to boss alarm. So we have this calling security data recipient boss alarm state, and this is a state that you actually can't see in the mission script because it's generated, but essentially this sets where that piece of data is going to. And so then with our alarm data, the last thing to look at there in devices is we've set up a device on a wall somewhere called boss alarm. I'll just point that out to you. That's this device here. Called boss alarm. It has a mission object script, and it has a hackable script, and then, like we talked about in the devices setup stuff, you can add power on, power off, you can add particle effects, animations, audio cues, all kinds of stuff. But all we've done is added a hackable script, which is a device script that waits for on received data name. If that data name is alarm data, then it plays a scratch track voiceover and runs the mission command add character mission characters guard 1, so it spawns a guard, and it then actually has a placeholder fail state for failing the mission, and it's the same way that the door opens earlier on. So Tatu has a question. Something state equals 3 strikes and you're out equals true. Probably syntax error there. Yeah, I mean, but you're right. That's correct. because we've got 3 states, one, the final one requires the other 2 to have been completed. That gives you the kind of order in which it will have to travel through those states to meet the last one, and then you make the last one, call security or add the game, or yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, Tatu, I was agreeing. I was saying you've got it right there. That's exactly right. So yeah, let's see that in action. Essentially, this is the device waiting for either the open staff door data or the alarm data. I mean, you could easily see that as being a computer, a device also waiting for a piece of data with ransomware payload on it. And so if it receives a piece of data with a given name, and we haven't gone into this in more detail, but actually you don't necessarily have to do it that way. You can do it the other way, in that the data can have a Lua script attached to it that will attack or react to devices with a certain name. So instead of devices needing to list their vulnerabilities, so the types of pieces of data that they are vulnerable to, you can actually do it the other way around and have a piece of data able to actively target devices with certain names. So Windows 10 device, or Windows XP device for the Eternal Blue malware that can be sent around. And so you could lock down a device, or you could extort money out of the character using that device. We have this concept of device owners in Off-Grid as well. So you can start to see it really is quite flexible, like the kind of fact that AI can react and will send data around, and data can be received by devices, and if devices receive data, they can then send it on to other devices or to other characters, and you can create this chain of effects. And it's not always that easy to make sure that it's clear and obvious to the character, to the player, and that's the harder part. But if you set up this stuff here, these kind of hackable scripts with power on and a mock and active on states, and set a load of sparks to go off, so when the ransomware, when the laptop is hit by ransomware, the screen changes to bright red and flashes, and a load of smoke comes out of it, then it sends the data on to another device that starts steaming and spitting sparks out. Then you'll see that like that kind of chain going on as a player as well. So it's down to making some less than realistic visual cues come into it, even if you are simulating, a worm jumping across vulnerable machines in a network via SMB or whatever else. Right, I think now we are ready to see this in action. So Tatu says, right, or what I'd have someone program is have the security intercom tell the secretary to hide in room X after the player had hacked the particular intercom, whether remotely or had third-party support NPC ready to react to her. Yeah, exactly. So and you can easily do that. So that's exactly how the AI alter world state API call works. So you could hack the intercom and set it to alter NPC world state for the secretary to world state has to hide equals true, and then the actions in the pool for the secretary would be prioritized in a way as to make that a high priority action to use to fulfill the goal of secretary hiding. So yeah, that's definitely doable. Right, so just to show you that all in action, I know we kind of talked through quite a lot there. Let's make the screen a little bigger as well, because it's going to be quite hard to see. I think we've got this selected, this device. Oh, right, yeah, okay. I think this should work. Oh, sorry about how laggy that is. Definitely gets slow when we're streaming and doing the modding and testing stuff. So, this device that we talked about, the boss alarm, has a data inventory, and it should actually, yeah, it's already got one file. Sadly, we can't actually read what the file is, but I know what the file is. It's the door access file that we sent to it earlier, and that file ID will go up by 1 once the boss alarm has been triggered. We've got another question here from Umuta Gunas. What's the difference between Unity and Unreal Engine 4, and which one do I prefer? Well, I'm pretty biased at this point because I've been using Unity for making off-grid for a number of years. Personally, like with an experimental game like off-grid with very experimental mechanics, I think Unity is probably the winner there. But if you want to make something that is a more standard first-person or third-person game, it's probably faster to get up and running and make something polished in Unreal 4. So basically, don't make an iOS puzzle game in Unreal 4. But if you want to make a more standard third-person shooter instead of a third-person hacking game, then Unreal 4 is probably a good option for it. Would be my answer. So yeah. Cool. Next then. So, where are we at? Yeah. So this data inventory here, we can keep an eye on. It doesn't actually give us the full detail of the data in the inventory. It's probably something that might be worth adding actually to this component in the future. But yeah, we're gonna go back to the game and get this secretary to change state. So, I need to get access to the office there. So doing that here, we're going to scan. Oh, why is this broken in this? And this was working earlier. Ground floor. That was working earlier, I swear. Let's have a think about why that wouldn't be working. Right. Live debugging, gotta love it. So, there's the interactable object. Mission object, interaction, grab. It's called temp NFC writer. We've got to check in our mission script whether that works. Post it, boss office trigger, temp NFC writer, if player get name, and Oh yeah, I forgot about this. Oh, there's an objective that we have to. Yeah, I've set this up in a slightly roundabout way. Probably shouldn't have that line in there, actually. That requires you to have completed a given objective before you can get into that room. Maybe it's maybe a bit too artificially stopping the player from progressing if you haven't rooted the phone. I have to have a think about that one really, because you need to have rooted the phone to get all of your tools, so I think you do need to stop the player from doing so. So right, what we're gonna do is there's a section that I'm setting up in this level where we go through and we collect this package, and we get told that there's an SD card in the package, so we go to our inventory and we open the hidden package and we use it, and we need to set up updating that. Opening the hidden package opens up this SD card for us, and we use the SD card, and that opens up the Root King application, which starts rooting our glasses and giving us a set of tools. Your device has been successfully rooted. Finish. Install Black iOS AR pen testing tools. Hit install to install the base Black iOS toolset. Install. So, Tatu says the UI in the demo is kind of iffy on the target detection too. Hope that's not what's happening here. Yeah, no, it's not. But it's one of those things that we are constantly trying to fiddle with and tweak. I wished I had this kind of debug menus, though. I would have been able to give you loads more QA feedback than what I did on the Discord. Well, everything was really useful that you did, though, Tatu. That's really good of you. So, yeah, I mean, I'll look forward to seeing you get to mess around with this debug stuff. You know, the game is constantly evolving, so what we're aiming to do is actually make some of this debug stuff just part of the main menu and tool set as well, so it's easier for players to kind of see what's going on if they want to. So there's a conversation that we're going to skip through here about using your PGP key. So that you can have an encrypted conversation. Let's skip through this. I promise this is all interesting when you're in the right position or frame of mind for reading it. Oh, is this it crashed doing this earlier? There's something. Hang on. Let's just wait and see whether it fixes itself. I've definitely got something that I've written into that section. Should make a note for myself actually. Yeah, so that's done. So there's a weird stall. So investigate weird stall after crypto chat conversation. Post-it note. Right. So, did I step on a node? What for it? The reason that it paused like that? Well, to be honest, I got no idea what happened there. I think I've just written something poorly in the Lua script. What's happening here? Come on, window, get back. It's just stayed pretty laggy. Thanks for bearing with the lag, by the way. As I've said, like, it'll all be more performative when you're making your eventual mods in the final game, but got a lot going on with the stream running and whatnot. So now that we've completed that root phone objective, that should allow us to scan this NFC reader device. It's a temporary device. Yeah, and that downloads the key from the NFC writer. Yeah, and so now when we go through this door and the secretary spots us, and this is something that again needs some tweaking because she doesn't spot us as easily as she should.
Joe, you know full well you shouldn't
Yeah,
be in there.
so you can hear her say, "Joe, you shouldn't be in there." She's going to come through and try and tell me off.
You're not permitted in there.
You're not
Out.
permitted, she just said. She's doing a very strange action to do with
Joe, get out.
hitting a printer,
I'll have to report you to the guild.
which will be replaced with a wagging your finger. But
Getting
current,
security.
I'm getting
In
security.
Russia, fish spears you.
In Russia, fish spears you. She's stuck on the door. But this should now, well, there's meant to be a guard that spawns, although that's not currently implemented, but it fails. So we've been caught in the office, and that's the end of this small level. And so obviously this is quite simple. At least it's not a dab. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, I mean, there's some pretty bad dance placeholder animations in there currently, but yeah. So yeah, this is a fairly early level that's just there to set, as you can see, you're setting up your tools and routing your phone and this, that, and the other. But it's there to show the player how to do some of the basics. So it's quite simple in many ways. But it's a really good example of the AI kind of changing from hostile to friendly, and various other states in between. I suppose I should have shown you the goals that the AI was moving through, but I suppose we'd already talked it through in the script. So yeah, I think. Oh, here's the tweet thing, the anonymous tweet up there. I think it might be kind of cool for me to just. I'm probably going to just crack on with some regular vanilla dev now and fix up a couple of things. So I've got to check my notes as to where I was at last with this stuff. Well, I mean, this might even be a good place to stop the stream in terms of that summarizes kind of Go at AI working and kind of doing stuff. What were the next things I was going to do? What have I written? Replace the NFC writer, change the boss alarm to an alarm and access panel, set up door to open on greeting Joe. I've already done that. I was going to change the guard upstairs to have a different color lookup table and use a different. Yeah, let's do that. That might be a nice thing to finish up on. So there is an NPC, or there was at one point an NPC upstairs. I might have turned them off. I think I have turned them off. We'll turn them back on, and I'll set them up to to use a different prefab, I think. So I'm just going to do a couple of really basic things that we've covered in a few other places, but it's kind of a nice little kind of tweak. Like if you're writing an AI and you've just written a really interesting AI and you want to use, I don't know, you want to use a large female hotel staff member as your character instead of the standard guard or the harbour worker or whatever else, because the AI you're writing suits that, then I'll show you how we set up that stuff as well quickly, changing the prefab and how your AI looks. So in the mission we've got Guard 2. We called, because of Pathfinder, we called them Diane Fabbot, after the famous British politician. Let's find Guard 2 in a few other places. So when you're setting up a character, like we've just gone through the really in-depth complex stuff of the agent definition, which is here, but that's only a part of how we set up our character. You know, that's the brain of your character. We also have the profile, which is the personality of your character, and then we have the body here and their name and a couple of the basics like their patrol routes. So Guard 2, let's change the prefab over. So to do that, what we'll do is we will go to the wiki. I'll pull that up here. And anyone who's seen the wiki before will know this. We'll change that down. So I think in modding, character types and prefabs, and Sophie's done a really nice job of listing out the different character. Oh no, it's not this one. This all needs switching out. Prefabs available. There's conflict there. I think that'll be in character colors then. Must be. Yeah. So here's how all of the different character types. You'll recognize this from our secretary. You can change the colors that she uses. Here's one of the basic guards using a bunch of different colors. So character lookup tables available. There's a whole bunch of them here. Long jacket, smart suit, waistcoat. Don't think we've got the prefab names in here though. So we're going to have to cheat then. Basically, all that stuff is listed in the common scene of off-grid, which is add common mission runner, and this is all of our. There's 38 character prefabs now. So Diane Fabbot is obviously going to be a female. We maybe want her to be quite large and imposing. Maybe feminine large vest enemy might be the copy. Yeah. Right. So in our mission script, we're going to use feminine large vest enemy. she's using the guard agent, that's fine. Spawn point, guard 2 spawn. She's got the Diane Fabot profile. So that's the prefab. We need to set her. Oh, color texture. Yep. So is that under prefab? Well, it doesn't matter in these tables technically, but so there's the color texture, and then we'll go to the list here and choose the one that we want. So this is the vest lookup table. They've got these security guards here, so maybe we'll choose vest col security, I guess. Would make sense. That's the long jacket one. Yeah. So the names of these listed anywhere? No, just the principles. So we want vest col security, I think. I'm gonna need to list this stuff additionally on the wiki, I think, so it's easy to copy paste. But we'll essentially color texture. Hopefully that'll work. We'll see. It might not. That might not be correct. Right, guard 2. Got a couple of other things to find. We need to find where they're enabled. Mission add character guard 2. Re-add that NPC in. And hopefully that should now spawn a female guard up top. And once that is working, I think we'll probably wrap up for the evening in terms of writing AI. So yeah, it's a good time to kind of open up to QA. If anyone has any questions on what I've gone over so far, or wants me to point them to other videos that I've done that cover bits of it in more detail, more than happy to answer any questions. So please do, yeah, give me a shout and ask questions. What I haven't done is checked on the Discord. Yeah, well, definitely. So Tatu said he missed the last one, so check that out since I've referred to it a couple of times. Yeah, I think, let me just check. So the very last one I did, I was in a sleep-deprived state and wasn't very useful. So it's the one before the last one I did. It's the last useful video that I did. Both of them are up. One of them is very clearly marked as things didn't go right for me. So you want the other one. If I pull up Steam, I think we go to the library games. Yeah, click on off-grid. Episodes 13 and 14. So I think it's episode 13, and that's NPCs writing custom AI actions and goals. So it goes through the steps of actually setting up the AI ahead of the stuff that we did this time round, which was to do with the specific agent definitions. But yeah, lots of it I've recovered here as well. The other interesting one that is worth checking out is around about episode sort of 5 or 6 or 7. Like there's one on devices and writing a ransomware for the elevator, and that covers a lot of the stuff that I touched on here as well, to do with how you might set up a device to trigger a particle effect and do a certain thing and react to a certain piece of data. So that's probably a good one to check out too. Cool. We're going to test this quickly, weren't we? We're going to see whether our guard turns up. Right. Rather than us having to run around the level entirely, we'll just cheat and pop up here. Oh no, that's the wrong level. Up here. Oh, there we go. There she is. She's got an audio setting in her head, so she's not patrolling yet. So that would be interesting to work out if we update the AI Explorer. Work out, focus on her there. She's got no plan. So why has she got no plan? View full state. Goal list. Has prisoner, no. Investigate, false. Needs actions to run, intruder visible. Patrol. Available actions. Patrol. That's prison false. I might have watched that through lurking, but I'll reskim it nevertheless. Yeah, it was a while ago. Tattoo, that one. Yeah, you don't necessarily need to rewatch it. It's just if you didn't catch it, that might be useful for some of the stuff that I explained about devices going into more detail. And I'm going to keep doing these every 2 weeks, and I will cover old ground and recover things in more detail as we go. So no worries there. All this stuff will get covered again and in more detail and focusing on different elements. So I don't know why she's got no plan. Taser. The variable player hit object transform has not been assigned. Yeah, okay. That's interesting. That's a bug that I'm not going to fix tonight, essentially. But as you can see, we have generated an AI with the coloring and the setting that we want, and I briefly mentioned the personality stuff, right? So actually, if we wanted to make her bigger in terms of weight, she's already got she's already pretty big on the gluttony front. Might need to make Maybe that's not working. Yeah. Anyway, that's if you set this to 0.1, it ought to make a skinny version of the character. 0.5 a medium size, and 0.9 or 1 a fatter version of the character. We used the term gluttony because it was supposed to actually be related to how often they needed to eat or use the vending machine or whatever else. Then proved to be actually quite a hard thing to show to the player, so it's less dynamic and mechanically related, so might end up changing that just to weight, just for clarity, I think. So yeah, that's that, I guess. I'm gonna take a screen grab quickly of that and put it in our Slack, Team Slack too. Player hit object transform. Still seems to be an issue. Cool. Well, thanks so much for watching, I guess. It's been a nice episode. We've covered a lot of ground. Like, I really like talking about the AI stuff because it's so in depth. And I'm always surprised when we cover as much ground as this on it. By the way, this is purely broadcast relating, but do you have any filters on your mic? Do you have a chance of increasing the bitrate you use at all and try for stream? I need to get a good quality mic is the answer. Yeah, you can probably hear my poor laptop fan whizzing and whirring under the weight of the broadcast. In terms of upping the bitrate, I've tried tweaking the settings for the bitrate a couple of times, and unfortunately, a couple of different platforms tend to not be too happy. Let's have a look at the settings quickly. My audio bitrate is 160. My video bitrate is 702, which is just the default settings for the Invenc hardware settings for streaming. But if you have any suggestions for me shifting things around, I'm more than happy to get feedback and ideas on improving the stream. So yeah, like if you want to send me some setup guides for potentially improving some of that stuff using OBS, more than happy to look at it. There's some weird stuff to do with like handshakes and intervals to make Steam Broadcast work properly, for instance, and you might get better stream if I focused on a single platform, but the nature of trying to kind of reach all the different small communities that we have in different places, whether that's people who follow us on YouTube versus people who are just landing on the broadcast page on Steam, I'm trying to keep it fairly broad. So I hope that it's been of a passable quality, even if it isn't the best. If you use OBS, there are a lot of filters you can use, and they work wonders. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. What audio filters would you suggest that I have a look for? to try and use. That's a great idea. I can't even remember where you find the filters. Number 1 is noise gate. Okay, cool. I'll have a look into noise gate and I'll get that set up for next time. Nice. Cool. The only thing I guess left to do is wrap up. If you've got any questions that you think of after the broadcast is finished, then jump in the Off-Grid Discord. That is discord.gg/Semaeopus, which is the studio name. That's SEMAEOPUS. Feel free to ask any questions there. Tatu, I know you're already a Discord member, and so you know how to find us already. I'm always up for chats on ideas and thoughts, or things that kind of showing some of the modding tool set has inspired you to think about for ideas. Please do drop me a line in there. Also kind of just general kind of feedback on bits and pieces to do with the stream, like the filters. Definitely try and get that set up for next time. That would be great. Remember to tell any of your friends that you think might be interested to wishlist Off-Grid. It really helps us in terms of gaining prominence on the store and getting promoted to other people within Steam, and helps the eventual success of the game. So if you can think of anyone that you think might be interested enough to wishlist Off-Grid, it only takes a couple of clicks. If you've got a Steam account already, or if your friends have got Steam accounts already, that'd be really helpful. And like and subscribe on your favorite platform, whether that's Twitch or YouTube, or if you're a Mixer head, or if you like Periscope. Just follow us on these various platforms. The thing with being an indie is you have to be on all these different platforms and building lots of small communities. So let us know where you're at, and if we're not representing the platform that you like, then ping me in Discord, and I'll look at us finding a space on there too. Tatu says, I don't have my stream PC running, so can't give you a list of the ones I use, but it's 5 total, some of which might not be useful for dev streams, but I'll post it on Discord sometime later. That would be amazing. Cool, very much appreciated. That'd be great. A note of your top filters, and if you don't mind pointing out where to find them easily, because sometimes some of the OBS, like, took me ages to find the Luma kind of green screen cutting stuff for some reason. Some weird like double right click somewhere on the image. I can't remember what it was. If you can help point out how to find setting them up too, that'd be wicked. Great. Well, I've just realised we've got this bleeping in the background because the AI's got a load of text messages coming through. Thanks again for watching. Tatu, thanks so much for jumping in with questions and helping prompt me kind of as we go through. It's always really nice to have people interacting. Same with Best Man, who's Killer Cowboy. Is that the Killer Cowboy is your profile elsewhere. And who else do we have chatting in here with us? I'm trying to look for your name. Amuta Gunas. Yeah, first time I've seen you on the stream, so thanks for joining, Amuta. Yeah, I'll look forward to seeing you. I'm not going to be here in 2 weeks' time because I've got family visiting from abroad, and I think we're going. Yeah, we're definitely not. I'm not going to be able to do the stream. Is the point in 2 weeks' time? So I'll either pre-record something or I will follow up the following week. So yeah, if you are missing your off-grid modding fix, then head to youtube.com/offgridthegame, and there's a playlist called Off-Grid Modding, and that's got all the previous episodes all on YouTube, so you can catch up on things there. Touch says, no problem, as I said, I inspire people with streaming. Yeah, nice. See you next time. Yep, look forward to it. Thanks again, everyone, and I will see you all on the flip side. Goodbye.